Alright guys, welcome back to the Dark Souls Remastered walkthrough, Indiana Jones style. In this episode we're going to take on the remaining two bosses of the DLC, which include Black Dragon Kalameet and Manus of the Abyss. Then we'll finish the video by going into the Catacombs and defeating Nito, the first of the four bosses that we have to kill in order to get to the Gwen in the endgame. Now for Black Dragon Kalameet, let's make sure we have our heavy bolts and the Havel's ring equipped, because we definitely want to be able to fast roll. Now, in the last episode we defeated Knight Artorias. Now, this NPC right here is his love interest. Secret or not, we don't know. But she is the owner of the Hornet Ring. She'll ask you for the soul of Artorias. And we're going to give it to her because we've been using the Hornet Ring for this playthrough and it's been quite useful. So, you can actually kill her if you'd like, but she'll give you the two most powerful daggers in the game without having the need to fight her. But she can also give you her set as well. But in this walkthrough, we decided to just give it up. She's actually the corpse behind Artorias' grave where we got the Hornet Ring. So she loved him deeply, and it's evident of the location of her corpse. Now, you can kill these dogs if you'd like, but I'm just going to run through because it's just not worth my time and effort. They'll get a few shots in on you, but it's just not worth it in my opinion. You can shoot them with bolts from distance if you'd like. We just don't have a shield to block their attacks. There really is no way to really avoid their attacks consistently without a shield. Now, before there was no fog wall here, but now there is. So this is actually the boss arena now. Black Dragon Kalameet has very devastating attacks, and he has one of the worst hitboxes in the entire game. The hitbox on his head is next to impossible to avoid sometimes. The only way I've noticed I've taken less damage or avoided it in a consistent manner is to dodge backwards when he goes for it. That also goes for his claws, when he goes to a forward attack with his claws, but I make a lot of mistakes in this fight, and it's just definitely not a clinic on how to fight him perfectly. Your main opening for this fight is going to be whenever he does any kind of his fire breath attacks. He's got a variety of them, but the main ones are right here. He'll just do a straight on one, and then he'll move his head side to side like this. This is where you want to go in and hit him in the neck with the cestus. But be wary, he'll also combo into different kind of attacks. If he charges forward, like does a quick leap forward, then he's going to do a backwards flame attack. You'll see that later. And he'll also turn his head around like that. He's very difficult to avoid. He's one of the most difficult bosses to avoid. And don't get hit by the Calamity attack there. That will double the damage you take. But whenever he's doing his fire breath, that's when you want to get in the hits. Now there's the leap forward and the spray. See the backwards spray there? You definitely want to go backwards and avoid that one. Again, whenever he does that fire breath, when he moves his head side to side, that's when we're going to go to town on his neck. And the cestus is what we're going to use because we can use quick attacks. And he also do that tail attack right there. It's very hard to avoid these attacks. The hitboxes are very unforgiving on this boss. Again, that's our main opening for attack right there. And again, there he goes with his leap. And here we didn't get to avoid the fire. Now, we don't have good flame-resistant armor either for this boss. You definitely can't get greedy with this boss either. Now, the Leo ring isn't really doing us much good here. And actually, I didn't even have the heavy bolts equipped right off the bat. I didn't notice until later. But you're pretty much safe when he does that fire attack if you get right behind his neck there. And again, he'll also go up in the air and spray the ground right there. Again, we barely got through that one. Now when he rises up like that, that's your best chance to go ahead and just pump him full of some bolts. And again, do not get hit by the Calamity attack, because if you do get hit by that, you will suffer a lot more damage. It's better to just avoid him when he does that. And he does these stomp attacks too, which are hard to avoid. You basically want to stay kind of in front of him so you can bait him into his flame attacks, because that's going to be where you do all your damage pretty much. That hitbox on that head is so hard to avoid. So I just found out that going backwards like this is your best bet. And usually he'll just go into a fire attack right after that, so just go in and hit him a few times with the cestus, rinse and repeat. Again, that's your best opportunity right there when he rises up. Pretty a straightforward fight once you learn how the openings work. And again, there goes his leap, so you want to make sure you go backwards and avoid all that fire. Whew! Don't know how I avoided that one. You don't really want to stand in front of him and shoot the bolts unless he's doing the fire attack right there, because he will hit you in other ways. Good opportunity to heal too if he's doing that flame attack. But that's basically what you want to do, is bait him into fire. His fire makes him weak. This is his biggest weakness. Because then you can just go to town on his neck. Now if you want the tail for Kalameet, oh boy, you're in for a big time pain in the ass. That's the hardest tail in the game to obtain. It's only really doable with 2 of his moves. He does a tail attack, but you have to bait him into it, and it's very difficult to do. So if you do go for that, you better have a really strong, sharp weapon. I recommend the Gargoyle's Halberd, and you'll have to buff it. But there you go. Kalameet is done. Really not that bad of a boss. You just basically have to bait him into fire attacks and learn how to dodge his attacks on his head. Now, I don't know why I go for this shiny over here. I thought it was a soul item, but it ends up being arrows that we're not even going to use. The great Goth's arrows. So we're going to Helmward Bone back, and now we're going to go to the Abyss and take on Manus. Now, Manus is one of the most aggressive bosses in the game. However, he's a cakewalk with the build that we have. The Avalon combined with the Leo Ring for this boss will absolutely shred his health bar. The only thing that's hard about this boss is his magic attacks, which he does a variety of, I think it's 3 of them. And you have to have the silver pendant equipped to be right on it, because if you get hit by the black magic, you're probably going to die instantly. Now, you want to make sure you go down this elevator here. Now, this is something you don't want to get involved in. You got a whole horde of enemies here, which I just ignored at first. I thought that the elevator was going to be there, but it wasn't. So, you want to make sure that you have that elevator up before you have to deal with all this madness. I believe these enemies were once human, and the darkness made them this way. They have very strong attacks, and they have great range on their leaps as well. Man, I had to retreat here. I mean, just look at the distance that enemy covered with his leap. That's just unbelievable. But the whip can take them out in groups, but just be wary of these guys. In a group, they're a pain in the ass, as you just saw. So, once all of that madness is cleared, let's go down the elevator finally. Now, we're going to have our binoculars equipped, because we're going to be in a room that's got 2 mages, and they're just going to pelt you from a distance while you're trying to deal with the other guys. There's some foot soldiers on the ground here too. So what I like to do, we're going to get our binoculars out. We got to get it just right. So this is too far away here. So we're going to go forward about to where this statue is. Just about right here is a good spot. And we're going to take out the first guy on the left on the stairs. 2 shots will do it. Now there's one more, and we're just going to walk to the next statue about halfway. And we're going to get this guy. These guys cause so much damage with their black magic. So once you take those out, then it's just a matter of dealing with the foot soldiers. As you imagine, I died here. There's my souls. Best to take them out with Avalon. It only takes a few shots. Now, after these guys are cleared, there's going to be some kind of monstrosity guarding the elevator, but I really don't even know what to call this guy. It's just it's a guy with a rock and a stick for a head that's attached to his head, and it's got great range, as you'll see. So we're going to equip the Leo ring and try to get some bonus damage on him with the Avalon. I don't recommend going in close to this guy. You want to get him just to where he'll bait out one of his attacks and then just kind of snipe him, because he's a very odd boss. I mean, not really a boss, more like a mini boss here. He's got great range with his head because he's got that stick attached to his head. And you could run past him, but I don't recommend it because the elevator has to come up and there's an enemy on the elevator. So you could actually get sandwiched between this guy and the other guy that's coming up from the elevator. So I recommend dealing with this guy first. Now, you want him to do the rock attack because that's where you can get the bonus damage. It's easy to dodge. Just kind of stay out of range. But this one, this attack with his head, this pole, has got great, ridiculous range. So you want to make sure you get far enough away and pelt him with some bolts. But don't recommend getting close to this guy. He's got too many attacks that cause massive damage. But once he's dead, he'll usually drop chainmail armor, which we have no need for, but chain leggings here. Now, once we get into the Abyss, we're not going to go directly for the boss because we're going to go for an optional area and we're going to save Sif the wolf. And we're going to actually summon him for the fight, although he does next to nothing and it's not even really a good distraction. I just like to do it anyway. And we'll get a secret cutscene by doing this. By saving Sif from the Abyss, we will get a cutscene later, an alternate cutscene when we have to fight him for real. I don't know why they made this Sif not an optional boss. I mean, they made him a mandatory boss, and it's kind of sad to have to kill a doggy, but we have to do it because it's the only way to get to the Four Kings and get the Covenant of Artorias, which allows us access to the boss in the first place. But we are going to save him in this area here, and we're going to summon him for the fight, and we'll get that secret cutscene later. So we are also going to open up a shortcut that's down there as well, but you'll see it. It's kind of hidden away, the area to Sif. It's actually behind an illusionary wall. But you want to be human for the boss fight if you want to summon Sif. It's just cool to fight alongside a doggy. He really doesn't, like I said, he doesn't benefit you much in any way. So right here, there's a crystal lizard. I fail miserably trying to get him here. And you do not want to venture too far off to the left here because there are black magic users that will pelt you. But if you want black magic, there is a very important spell back there that everybody in the world wants if they're using hexes. Well, I say hex, that's what Dark Souls 2 calls them. Black magic here, called Dark Bead, which is an overpowered spell, but we're not going to go for it, obviously. So the path to the boss is off to the right here, but we're not going to the right. We're going to go off to the left. And we're going to, well, it's not right here. It's close by, though. You're going to go down this area, go down this ramp, and off to the left here is where you want to go. And you'll fall through the floor. And you'll see the cat that you have the covenant with kind of guiding you along the way. Now, the enemies that you will encounter along the way are these humanities. Now, if they touch you, you will constantly get your health drained, but they are a very good source for humanity drops. Right here is a good place to farm, if you wanted to farm humanity. Although I still don't think it's the best place in the area to farm. I still think the best place in the game to farm are the rats and the maidens that are in the Duke's Archives that have been transformed. Not sure what they're called. But if you have stat boosting gear for your discovery, you'll probably get a lot of drops here. Now here's the shortcut, right here. But before we go into the shortcut, let's go ahead and get to this illusionary wall right here. And we'll save Sif. Now Sif has a shield called the Cleansing Great Shield, which we're not going to use, of course, but it is here for the taking. Sif is surrounded by all these humanity. I'm guessing it's some kind of a spell that was protecting him from all these humanities. But we're going to kill all the humanities and we're going to just go around Sif and we will have saved him. See, they're dropping a good deal of humanity there. That's the only thing they drop. But yeah, just kind of touch him, touch the wolf, and Sif will be grateful. He's much smaller now, as you can see. He's kind of like a baby. Now, make sure you empty your inventory before you fight Manus. There's the cleansing great shield. Because you definitely want to have only the Estus and the silver pendant, because you can't fumble around in the menus looking for something like the pendant. You want to have it absolutely available. Yeah, just go up the shortcut to open it and go right back down, but we're going to just go ahead and go to the bonfire. I'll just go ahead and show you where you end up here. You're pretty much back into that area where it has all these paths that lead to different areas. The Royal Wood, this area leads to different areas here. All the shortcuts, pretty much. So we're just going to go back to the bonfire and warp back into the dungeon, where we will begin our boss trek to Manus. Now Manus, like I said, is a cakewalk. With this build, we will destroy him in less than a few minutes. He is so easy to kill with this build. I even tried it on New Game Plus 7 and beyond, and it still works. It's like a very good way to kill this boss. You just have to avoid his attacks a few times and get ready for his magic attacks. After he reaches half health, he will start spamming it. Now, there is a way to dodge the black magic, but it's just too difficult in my opinion, and it's just easier to use the silver pendant when he's gearing up for his attacks, and he'll telegraph them for just a split second. You have to be really quick on that silver pendant, because if he does that forward attack, then you don't have much time. You have to be ready with that silver pendant. So what I recommend is don't even have your Estus Flask equipped. Have the silver pendant equipped at all times once he reaches half health. Now, if you missed the Crystal Lizard earlier, here's another chance here. We're going to try to get him. Recommend just letting him run first. Let him stop. And then we'll just hit him with the Avalon. Takes usually 2 shots. He's a tough Crystal Lizard. Alright, now, before we took the left path after this ramp, now we're going to go to the right. Now, there is a black magic ranged sorcerer to the left after you get down this ramp, and if you ignore him, he'll probably snipe you off the bridge and kill you instantly. He'll probably kill you anyway with his black magic. You see how it takes so much damage. So what I recommend doing is just shooting him here. Just shoot him and get it. It only takes 1 shot with Avalon. So we just want to go across this bridge. Now if he spams his, I think it's like a fog or something. It's like a poison fog. You can take a chance and just ignore him and run across the bridge, but I just still don't recommend it. There's some twin humanities underneath the bridge here. Now, even though we're not a faith build, I still like picking up slabs, because slabs are just a rare resource in this game. And if there's a chance to pick one up for free, I'm going to do it. So right here in this little tunnel, you got the big one and the small one. The humanity blocking it. But it's worth coming down here to get the white Titanite slab, which will reinforce divine weapons to max. And again, we could do our Cestus later, but we're not going to worry about it because we only need it for one part in this game, and it's with the boss for Nito, which we are going to do in this video. Now, before you enter the boss arena, make sure you have the Leo ring equipped and the Havel's ring, because you'll need the Havel's ring for a fast roll, but the Leo ring is the most useful for this fight. I have tested it, and I've noticed that it does at least 200 extra damage, and it's so easy to use against him because he has such long drawn out attacks that it's a lot easier to counter them. So you'll do up to 500 damage per shot, which is huge for a boss fight like this. And he's going to be hitting you, trying to hit you from a distance with his arms, and if you just keep your distance and roll out of the way and just keep shooting him with Avalon, the counter attacks, then you're going to take out this boss in a matter of minutes. But another thing you want to do, make sure you only have the Estus and the silver pendant equipped. Now, you don't have to, but off to the left here, as soon as you spawn, there's the summon sign for Sif. And I just like Sif. I just like him in the arena with me. It's kind of cool to fight alongside a doggy. Now, he's got one delay on his arm attack. But as you can see, we're only doing, well, now we're doing 503 damage. There's another 501. Make sure you have your large bolts equipped as well. Now, when he does his roar, he'll do this roar. And if he does that, you better, like right there, back up twice, do a quick roll. And that's where you definitely want to heal. And then just shoot him after he does his slam. But yeah, we did 1,000 damage there after shooting him twice consecutively. He's already half health already. So now, once he's half health, equip the silver pendant and get ready, because he's going to start spamming them. And if you get hit by the forward attack, you're pretty much dead. So just watch him whenever he gets that light. Boom. Don't get hit by that whatever. Whatever you do, don't get hit by that attack. Now here I got greedy. Don't shoot him until he already has attacked you with his arms. But yeah, he's going to try it again soon. But this boss is so easy. It's such an easy boss with the Leo ring and Avalon. But again, make sure you're ready for that. This is basically the hardest part about the fight. Getting his timing down, and then he'll do another one right here for the sides, kind of close in on you. And he's dead. I mean, that was an easy fight. And it's easy even on New Game Plus 7 or and beyond with this build. Leo ring plus Avalon equals victory. Of course, you want to be able to fast roll as well. Now that we have killed Manus, we can go back and talk to Elizabeth the Mushroom and get the most overpowered healing item in the entire game, possibly the entire series. They're called Elizabeth Mushrooms, but you don't get very many of them in a playthrough. You only get 3. And boy, we're going to make use of them in the Four Kings fight. I don't know if you have to talk to her after killing Manus to get Elizabeth to give it to you, but we're just going to talk to her anyway. And we're going to warp back to the Sanctuary and get our prize, the Elizabeth Mushrooms. We're going to go ahead and level up here too. Endurance is our main stat we're focusing on right now, since we've gotten our dex to the soft cap, and our strength pretty much is there too. You don't really need a whole lot of vitality. We only had that at 31 still. We haven't leveled vitality in forever. Endurance all the way. Now, the next area we're going to go to is Nito in the Tomb of the Giants, the Catacombs. And this is a situation where the skeletons, the minions that the boss has, are harder than he is, actually. The Nito is a joke. He's an absolute joke. It's just the skeletons. So that's why you need the Divine Cestus. Now, let's just talk to Elizabeth. She'll acknowledge that you have rescued Dusk, and she will give you the Elizabeth Mushrooms. There's a reason they only give you 3 of them, because they're the most overpowered healing item in the entire series. It's basically like casting a replenishment, but it gives you a lot more health. So we're going to make use of these Elizabeth Mushrooms in the Four Kings fight, because in my opinion, that is the hardest boss I have ever fought in Dark Souls series. Well, it's not hard if you have a certain build, but with this build, with the Indiana Jones build, it is very difficult to kill this boss. On New Game Plus 7, it's damn near impossible with the build I have. I pretty much have to use the Chaos Blade and go outside of my restrictions. I can't kill it with the Cestus or the Whip. I've tried many, many times on New Game Plus 7 and beyond. Now, it's going to be easier with this. On New Game, it's the easiest, obviously. But on New Game Plus 7 and beyond, you have to do some extra things. Even pros of Dark Souls have went through the game and have admitted that they just can't beat the boss. They can't beat the boss without doing something else. One of the main weapons that people use to kill the Four Kings when they're going for like really pro runs, like fists only or something like that, they'll usually gravitate towards the blacksmith hammer, the great blacksmith hammer. It has a lightning attack, and they can two-hand it even as a level 1 build. But it is just so difficult to kill this boss. And the reason is, you have a time limit on this boss. The Four Kings will multiply after a certain amount of time. They just continue to multiply. And imagine not having a shield and not being able to block magic attacks. that do a stupid amount of damage already, and one that homes in on you for like 15 seconds, and there's really nothing you can do to avoid it. You pretty much have to take the hit. And on New Game Plus 7 and beyond, that is a significant amount of damage that you're going to take. So, it's not going to really apply to this playthrough, but it is just absolutely the hardest boss in Dark Souls, in my opinion. Name me a harder boss and I'll I'll argue with you. Another disadvantage you have during the Four Kings fight is you have to waste a ring slot because you have to wear the Covenant of Artorias or the arena will kill you instantly. So you're handicapped in a variety of different ways during this fight. Now you can summon for the fight, but the problem is the summon for this fight is the same one that you did for the Moonlight Butterfly. Now while she was very useful for the Moonlight Butterfly, she uses magic, and the Four Kings is highly resistant to magic. So not only does your summon not really help you, you can't wear but one ring, you're pretty much on a time limit, or the bosses will continue to spawn, more and more of them, and their grab attacks will incapacitate you and take off 3/4 or more of your health. And again, you're on a time limit, so you have to have a weapon that does a stupid amount of damage. And for this build, we just don't have that. So, I don't know. I really don't know how we're going to do it yet. I am going to try to do it with the Whip and Cestus, but if I have to, I'll have to use the Chaos Blade. Because this boss is just, it's very unique in that it makes you change what you want to do. So we'll get to that when we get to it, but it's going to be the second to last boss that we fight. Now let's talk about the next fight we're going to do here. This is an NPC we're going to fight coming up, and you'll recognize him because it's Leroy that helped us kill the Pinwheel in the very first video. Now we're going to kill him. Well, he has one of the most useful items in the entire game. It's called the Sanctus Shield. It will actually heal you. So a lot of people use this shield during like special runs or whatever, and it is a very good item to have. Now, you can really screw yourself by killing the NPC in a certain way, knocking him off the cliff or whatever, and you won't be able to get the shield. So even though I'm not going to use the shield in this walkthrough, I still wanted it, and I failed miserably because I did the exact same thing I said not to do, which is make them go off the cliff. But the area is very narrow and not really recommended to fight him on this narrow path if you really want the shield, because it's very likely you could either fall off or you could kill him by making him fall off, and the latter is what you want to avoid. He also has Grant, which is a huge hammer that he used to kill Pinwheel with, so you'll get two very good items by killing this NPC. Just make sure you don't knock him off the cliff like I did. So, right here, we're going to make sure we go a very specific way to avoid these dog skeletons, because they are very powerful enemies, and they will kill you so quickly. It's best to just run through this area, and I pretty much memorized this area. I don't even usually need a lantern to get through here, but here we're just going to use it. You want to stick to this exact path. Stick to the walls. As soon as you see this skeleton, you'll need to drop off right here and immediately just continue around the bend here. As long as you stick to this exact path, you won't aggro the dog skeletons in a way that they'll follow you and attack you, but they might kill themselves. And sometimes you'll see the soul counter come up like, oh, I got some free souls. That's because the dog skeletons tried to follow you and failed miserably and fell to their death. Now, you'll want the regular cestus, not the divine cestus here, but we are going to have to re-equip it for the Nito boss fight. Now, I do not recommend doing what I did here. Do not go down this path, because look at the area that you have to fight him. It's very narrow, and it's very likely you will fall off or he will. And here, I just, I screwed up. So, no Sanctus Shield for me. Even though I'm not using it on this build, so it doesn't matter. But if you were trying to get the shield, you would be very disappointed at this point. And unfortunately, this isn't Dark Souls 2, where you can just use a bonfire aesthetic and redo it. Nope. Once you fail here, you are done for the playthrough. So, right here, There's a crystal lizard that appears here. I think I've already killed it. I've already, he's already ran away. Now you'll have these bone tower things that rise up. You can just run past them. They're really not worth fighting because we're not interested in white titanite chunks, which is what they drop. So we're not going to be interested in farming for that or anything. But just run past them. There's another one that spawns right here. Just run past them. You have a few archers. Big ones that come in and put one right through my head right there. It's a big ass arrow. Now there is a white titanite slab off to the left here, and I always go for it because, like I said before, slabs are an incredibly rare resource in Dark Souls, and no matter what kind of build you're going for, you still want to get the slabs no matter what. So it just seems like a wasted playthrough if you do not go for the slabs, especially if they're free. So right here off to the left in this tunnel, you'll drop off, and at the end you will find the white titanite slab, which you can farm these pinwheel enemies for slabs. They do drop them, albeit very rare. It's a very rare drop, and even if you have the highest stat boosting gear, it's equivalent to any other slab dropping enemy in the game. It's going to take a long time to get a drop. So it's best to just focus on a build that you want to do and get the slabs you need that are free. Now, I don't like this boss arena for one reason. It's because of the drop. You're automatically going to lose health as soon as you drop down. I just think that's a cheap thing in the game and it shouldn't exist. So right here, I'm automatically going to lose some health. So as soon as I get in here, I like to heal immediately, but be wary because the boss will have a sword spell that comes out of the ground. It's very telegraphed if you can see the boss, because when he stabs his sword into the ground, that's when it's your time to dodge. But here is the problem with this boss. Make sure you have the Cestus, Divine Cestus, equipped. You want to kill the skeletons. All you have to do is kill them once with a divine weapon. So even though our Cestus is weak, it will still kill these skeletons with minimal effort. Now if Nito were to kill the skeletons, they're going to respawn. So you want to make sure you're the one that deals the final blow with a divine weapon. I'm not going to buff the whip yet because I know the skeleton is not dead yet, so I want to make sure all the skeletons in the vicinity are dead. Now do not aggro those big skeletons. Don't go past that little stone right there that I was just at, that pillar there, stalactite or whatever. Don't go past that because you'll aggro the big skeletons, and that's the last thing you want because you don't want to deal with even more skeletons because they will continuously respawn without a divine weapon. And the Cestus, like I said, is very weak, so we just want to kill the weak skeletons and move on. Now that that skeleton is dead, we're going to buff our whip, and we're going to make short work of Nito because he's a joke. He's really an easy boss. It's just the skeletons, like I said. He has a grab attack that he rarely uses, and he will do that AoE attack, which we're going to tank right here, just to get in a few shots, because we know we can take that shot. Now, on New Game Plus or whatever, he'll do more damage. But he don't even hit me for some reason right there. The hilt must have hit me. Now just run away if you can, but like I said, don't go too far. Don't go past this stalactite right here, because you don't want that big guy to spawn there. As long as you stay on this side and watch when he stabs the ground there, it's a very telegraphed move and very easy to dodge if you watch him. But yeah, the gold pine resin with the whip, easy peasy. Lemon squeezy, he's dead. And that's the first of 4 of the boss souls that we need, of the Great Lord boss souls, in order to get to the final boss, Gwyn. Of course, we still have to kill Sif to get the Covenant of Artorias, but in addition. Now, after the boss is dead, you'll have to save and quit out if you want the Paladin set, because it usually doesn't spawn until you do such. It's kind of like the Acquainted set after we killed the Gold Golem. But right here we're just going to level up some more stats here. We're going to go Endurance again. At this point, Endurance is more important than anything else. But yeah, it usually spawns. The Paladin set usually respawns here, but you have to like save and quit out. It's a very good armor set for curse resistance. It'll basically, for the Sith, not the Sith, the Seath fight, the Pale Drake, If you wear that set against him, you probably don't even need to wear the Cursebite Ring, which is what we're going to wear. But that will be in the next episode, where we're going to take on Seath the Scaleless and the most hated boss in the entire Souls series, the Bed of Chaos. So that's going to be the next episode. We're nearing the end, guys, of this series. See you guys in the next one.